234 French-backed mercenary group JNIM have now surrendered to the Malian armed forces in the north of Mali, very close to the region of Niger Republic. Now, let's get the story clear. This whole story revolves around the man and the name Al-Hussein. According to what we heard, Al-Hussein happens to be the code name, but the real name was undisclosed. So according to the information we heard, Al-Hussein is a key player in the JNIM logistics system. What does he do? He's the money man. He's the man that collects money from who, and then redistributes it to the cells of JNIM in the northern Mali region. So they have key logistic financial leaders, right, that enables the distribution of funds. Now, how do they distribute funds? They don't distribute funds through electronic means because of the dangers that can happen. You know, they can be tracked and all of that. So they get to distribute money physically. So according to what we heard, the payday was coming closer, right? And the money this time around with Al-Hussein was just so large. Now, according to the information we had, they were paid this money because of the recent destabilization, because of the warfare that they've actually waged. When you look at the warfare they've waged, it's more like a Western type of warfare, right? When they, you know, attack the civilian energy infrastructure. They did it in Syria, they did it in Iraq. They've done it almost everywhere you can think about. In Russia, what did they start when they saw that the war was not going their way? What did they start doing? They started blowing up the Russian, you know, energy infrastructure. So this is what they do. That is how you understand that these are not just some bunch of jihadists, right? They are French-backed machinery. And their methodology of combat is non-conventional, and their mode of operation is being planned and orchestrated by, you know, who we are talking about right now. So Al-Hussein saw that the money was so big and he wasn't ready to give up on the cash. He actually set up a meeting with them. They normally set up a meeting where money is being redistributed. He set up this meeting, but in a precise location that is not used to being where they used to collect funds from. So actually, when they want to go for money, most of the time they go with their weapons, right? But it's like friendly stuff. But this time around, Al-Hussein told them to leave their weapon behind in a pickup truck. So just for safety and all of that, according to the information we received. So by the time they got there, information had been leaked intentionally to the Malian intelligence, and troops were deployed massively to this location. So according to the RER message that was recovered, they said the transcription of the communication across the RER suggested Al-Hussein has betrayed us. We are surrounded. Put your weapons in the pickup truck. Remember, the weapons was initially in the pickup truck, right? So immediately they discovered that they were compromised. They were trying to, you know, push out a backup team to go and, you know, maybe save them and all of that. But the losses would have been devastating. 234 would have been a very, very abnormal headline. So according to the information we heard, they said, after saying, put your weapons in the pickup truck, we are going to surrender. According to the information we received, they said, these things I just said were being spoken in the Fulbe language, okay? So after the surrender, the information has been going on around everywhere. But for me, sometimes I don't give out informations like this, and at the end of the day, it ends up being true. So that's why I feel like, okay, let me just put this information out there. But still, I will reach out to the sources in Mali to help me fact check. And I'll get to those on my Telegram channel. There is a Telegram channel apart from the Android Telegram channel, and they will help me fact check if this information is actually legit. But for now, that is what we've received. And as we speak, the latest information we received from the enemy sources is that the cells, now they didn't disclose the country that Al-Hussein has actually ran to with the money, but according to the information, they said he ran through a neighboring country to another town bordering a neighboring country. So he ran from Mali to a neighboring country that borders Mali. Then from that country that borders Mali, he ran into another country that borders Mali. Do you get? So according to the information we've heard now, they've now deployed some sleepers in that immediate border country to Mali to start tracking his movement, possibly hoping that they will be able to apprehend Al-Hussein. But I wish them the best of luck. 243 is a big number. That is many enemies down. But what do you think could have been done to them? Should they have been arrested, or should they have just been, taken out of the picture? You can drop your opinion in the comment section what you think. But for me, I think 243 surrendering in that way was not a surrender. You see, the way I see surrender is different. Boubacar Oubel has actually surrendered before. They got him, rehabilitated him, released him back. He betrayed again. He surrendered again. So I don't know, these 243 surrendering, I don't really see it as a surrender because they had no good intention, okay? If they had the opportunity and the capability to launch a counter-offensive instantaneously where they were, they would have. But because they were surrounded, they were outnumbered, and according to the information we got, there were even area deployments to this location. Hence, they had to surrender. But you can give us your opinion on what you think about this information. Secondly, we are getting some information that the Burkinabe authorities have now visited Diapaga, and again, they visited a place called Ugaru. Now, between Ugaru and Diapaga, there have been heavy surveillance by the Rapid Intervention Brigade of the 26th and the 27th Battalion. The 27th Battalion are the ones in Diapaga, and the 26th Battalion of the Rapid Intervention Brigade are the ones in Ugaru. So this has been a very high-stake mission because according to the information we had, there is a strategic mine in this location. So the authorities are there to kind of raise their spirits and to tell them that, there are still greater tasks ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this video.
The purpose of the visit was to meet our men who have returned from their mission. It was a difficult and dangerous mission, so we came to encourage them. First of all, it was an important mission that made it possible to resupply the Bungu mine, as well as the various localities along the route. So it is my duty, given the professionalism they have demonstrated and their dedication, to offer my congratulations. And above all, to encourage them and to remotivate them for what is ahead, ensuring they feel ready and supported.
Today, we are very happy. Regarding this visit from the commander, we want to take a moment to express our continued support and appreciation for the leadership shown. We stand behind this security force at all times, both during the day and throughout the night, always ready to offer our help whenever it is needed. Our commitment is to provide support and assistance, ensuring that the security team knows they can rely on us whenever necessary.
Now you can see that anywhere in these countries where you have some type of destabilization, it is always the fact that there are some strategic resources in this location. And this fight will only get tougher. I will tell you why it will get tougher. You know, this war between Ukraine and Russia has actually exposed the financial arsenal of the Europeans. Like right now, the European economy is up and down the hope, is all over the place. So the only farm where they always run back to when everything goes south for them is to go to the south. I mean, the African continent. Fortunately for them, they have a whole lot of puppets right there. But you can't get your backside whooped forever. So you have to just come out of this slavery. Because that is what it is. There's nothing like puppet or whatsoever. It's still slavery. But just with a little bit of off the cuff. Like just kind of unbuckle the leash a little bit. Okay? Just a little bit. So everyone has to fight for their freedom in their individual capacity. And that is what we are seeing right now. So whichever way they want it, this fight has to continue. Now, let's watch this video and see what experts had to say about the role of France in Africa. Let's watch the video.
Westerners spread false information to justify military interventions, and so they end up deceiving the public. So we are aware of disinformation operations that have been carried out. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is the Iraq War, with all those experts who told us, basically repeating the talking points of the American intelligence services, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and that therefore war was necessary to prevent a catastrophe. And so it is often said that in a conflict, the first casualty is above all the truth. Throughout history, governments have had strategies of influence, strategies of deception to mislead the public and justify their policies.
To be clear, my comrades understand that first of all, the Sahel did not really call upon us, and secondly, it will not call upon us again. That's what's frustrating for the French military. They can legitimately ask themselves, just like the American soldiers sent to Iraq or Afghanistan, what was the point? And that's the fundamental question. What can we actually do to intervene in those countries? If it's just a military intervention?
But for example, if you didn't know, the JNIM issued statement after statement, and when asked, for instance, to Anabi, who was the head of ACMI, under which the JNIM fell at the time, it was repeated several times that the war with France was only about Africa, meaning no attacks in France, European territory was not involved, etc. And so this was before the withdrawal from Mali, before Barkhane. So it was a kind of an achievement that France managed to secure thanks to military force. Everyone knows, since we're an informed audience, that there has never been any plan or preparation for attacks from the Sahel on French or European soil. And in the current dynamic with the presence of the Islamic State, which does not want to negotiate or engage in political processes, is there anything that can be done with this actor? Of course, there are differences.
So now, terrorism is really a particularly favored weapon because it is an inexpensive and effective way to destabilize governments and to control regions and valuable resources. So, I genuinely believe that this is the fundamental and most significant point. The French government and its close allies are not, in any sense, the solution to the problem of terrorism. Rather, they are, in fact, the underlying cause of this problem.
You can see that it's not even us alone that knows that France is really playing a very big role in destabilizing Africa when it comes to this anti-terrorism war, right? So you can see that the truth is out there. This is the only methodology they know. They think it works they've seen it work in Libya, now, they're trying to use the same methodology in the Sahel, hoping it will work. And the funny thing is, if it has to fail in the Sahel, that is why you see that a lot of us are invested in this. It has to fail in the Sahel completely. It cannot succeed in the Sahel. It has to stop, because if you look at it, started from Libya, now Sudan, and in the Sahel, you can see the level, right? So if it works in these places, they might just have a change of heart, like, okay, let's completely just surrender the whole continent. Let's just take over this continent. I think a new wave of colonization is trying to come back because of the new economic realities and the global shift from the unipolar world. And I think it is high time. Africa actually has an opportunity right now. an opportunity to reverse history, but it will come at a cost. The Sahel, they are fighting for their own freedom right now. So the question to the rest that are scoreboard watching is, do you want to remain where you're at, or do you want to become free? So, according to another information that we have, it seemed to me that every information out there that seemed to be legit right now, so the president of France is Russian propaganda.
Russia uses this, for example, to cite a case that might seem more entertaining, when we had all those controversies about bed bugs. There were bedbug problems at that time. There was a viral spread of this topic, which became the #1 national issue for weeks, and this was clearly demonstrated. JNIM, the independent agency that monitors this, showed it, because there were millions of fake accounts pushed by the Russians that amplified this thing. And it drove some people crazy. It became a hot topic, people were getting worked up everywhere. A huge issue of informational vulnerability, because in the world we live in, conflicts are increasingly hybrid. When you see that a government's credibility can be destroyed by false information, you lose some of your sovereignty. And so Russia uses this, and major powers like China use it as well.
But in all honesty, there was a bedbug outbreak in France. And the information came out to everybody. It wasn't even, but at the end of the day, they call it propaganda. But let me show you what a propaganda looks like, right? From one of the mainstream media, right? Their reporters and their representatives.
Amount of incoming fire coming into this now. Artillery fire. There are loads of civilians around. Families coming out. There's a lady there with her dog following on. This is the edge of the town that the Russian...
This is a BBC correspondent in Ukraine, okay? So this BBC correspondent in Ukraine, nothing was going on. It just fell to the ground. I think he had already pre-planned it with the cameraman that this is what we are about to do. Fell on the ground and started yelling that they are under heavy fire. Ladies and gentlemen, there was nothing. Unfortunately for him, there was a woman that was walking a dog just ahead of them. The woman started panicking, like, what is going on? Like, why are you falling all of a sudden? Right? And the woman had to ask, sir, are you okay? But when unfortunately for them, the woman was there. If they were fortunate enough, let's say the woman wasn't there, they would have put the message out there. That is BBC for you. That is BBC. Okay, so these people just continue to print so much negative narratives and all of that. You see, when they call it propaganda, just know that there's a truth to that thing. When they call it propaganda, it's actually true. But when we call it propaganda, it's really, really propaganda. Because these people, they just don't know how to tell the truth. The truth to them is lies. And the lies are the truth. So just get it. These people are just somehow, in a way I don't understand. Now, let me use this opportunity to address the Nigerians that said, oh, this is about Christian and Muslim conflict, okay? Before I get started, watch this video. Okay, this video you just watched is a spurious exchange of fire between the Nigerian armed forces and some group of jihadists along the border of Nigeria and the neighboring country. Did you see that fire right there? That is not a Muslim-Christian war. That is an invasion. You can see how both sides were exchanging fire with themselves. So that is some external forces trying to infiltrate Nigeria on behalf of certain nations that have strategic interests in some of the Nigerian wealth. You see, and unfortunately, they know that these divisions are there. minor divisions between the Christians and the Muslims based on different things. They know that there are still minor divisions. Yes, we can't deny the fact that, you know, there are ultra Islamists and there are ultra Christians and all of that, you know, and there are bound to be frictions sometimes, but these things are manageable. Okay, they know that there is ethnic divide. If they were not playing the religious card, they would have been playing the ethnic card. If they were not playing the ethnic card, they would have been playing something different. So just get the game. And when you have a man like Bill Gates always complaining about the Nigerian population and talking about the Nigerian population being a problem, you should know that the forces that confront you viciously head on, they are the same forces you are calling to come and do a gun ablazing in your country. You better understand what you're asking for. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I drop the curtain for today. It's your boy 7200, finding out enough said. But before I go, I want to appreciate you all for your support, and I want to say thank you, and God bless you.